Farmers across Texas are worried about the retaliatory tariffs China imposed on certain U.S. agriculture goods. The measures include higher chicken, wheat, corn, and much more. As Jasmine Lotz reports, Central Texas farmers say they could go out of business.
Robert Fleming of Fleming Cattle and Grain says his stomach dropped when he heard about the tariffs because more than 20% of U.S. farm income comes from exports. Fleming says now with these tariffs, he's concerned about some farmers retiring early while making it harder for new farmers to break into the industry. Fifth-generation farmer Robert Fleming of Fleming Cattle and Grain says China imposing tariffs is an added layer of stress for him and the farmers of our country.
It's just another bullet hole through the heart of a depressed agricultural economy.
The measures include an extra 15% duty on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, and 10% on items including soybeans and beef. Fleming says he's worried these trade tensions could make it harder to sell their products overseas. On top of this, according to the Texas Farm Bureau, the profits farmers saw after paying for operational expenses, also known as net farm income, has dropped nearly $40 billion in 2024 compared to 2023. Fleming says now with these new tariffs, he says he could see more farmers going out of business while making it harder for new farmers to break into the industry.
Probably some older farmers that will retire due to this deal because we're growing products now, Jasmine, that are under our cost production, and that hurts.
The Texas Farm Bureau says China is a large customer for agricultural products. I'm told last year the agricultural export revenue was at $24 billion.
And they buy an incredible amount of foreign products from the United States, from the commodities that we just mentioned. In order for American agriculture to stay stable, we have to export to other countries. I mean, it hurts the rural economy. It hurts the whole overall nation.
Fleming says he would love to invite state and federal representatives to his farm for a tour to see the realities farmers are facing.
Make America think again. That's what I want. I want the voices of farmers and ranchers to be heard throughout the nation.
The Texas Farm Bureau says, quote, we're hopeful the administration can limit trade disruptions and continue working with international partners to resolve disagreements quickly, end quote. Now, back in February, President Trump announced implementing the tariffs, and the White House said, quote, President Trump is taking bold action to hold Mexico, Canada, and China accountable to the promises of halting illegal immigration and stopping poisonous fentanyl and other drugs from flowing into our country. In the studio, Jasmine Lotz, KWTX News 10.
Well, circling back.
Hello everyone, today I want to talk about a critical issue in global trade that impacts both domestic industries and international competition. Anti-dumping duties, countervailing duties, and the broader implications of agricultural policies. As you know, nowadays US implements tariffs for various products, particularly for China, Mexico, Canada, and other countries. And the other countries also reply back with their own tariffs for US products. I have used three books for my speech today. One of them is Tariffs books of Lloyd, and the second book Cannot Dam, the GATT book, and the third one Foreign Agricultural Trade, which was edited by Robert Tontz, and three books are amazing books to deeply analyze the tariffs. After giving this explanation, let me give you some statistics from the United States. In 2024, the US exported $176 billion in agricultural products. Nearly 47% of its agricultural exports went to only three countries. These are Mexico, Canada, and China. Mexico became the top destinations for US agricultural products for the first time in 2014, while China is one of the top importers of agricultural products for US agricultural commodities. Let's begin by discussing a typical situation where anti-dumping duties are imposed. This happens when a foreign country or foreign enterprise, let's say, judges lower prices for export to the duty imposing country than they do in the country of export. On the other hand, countervailing duties are primarily aimed at addressing subsidies granted to foreign exporters by their governments. This concern over dumping is fundamentally about protecting domestic industries from unfair trade or international competition. But there is a broader, more strategic perspective that it needs to be considered. In 1960s, economist D.J.L. Johnson from the University of Chicago wrote a pivotal paper titled "A Sound Trade Policy and Its Implications for Agriculture." In it, Johnson highlighted three compelling reasons for the United States to adopt a liberal trade policy. First, he argued that such a policy would increase the real value of US output by allowing for a more efficient allocation of resources. Second, following a freer trade policy would holster the US political role as a leader among free nations, while strengthening the economic power of other major nations. And finally, maintaining the largest single market in the world as a relatively free and open market would significantly contribute to the economic development of poorer nations globally. But what does this mean for agriculture? A paper written by Lawrence Witt from Michigan State University in the 1960s, titled "Trade and Agricultural Policy," addressed this very question. It discussed the smooth, heavily tariff, which was the highest in the US history, and the McNary-Hudson bills that were designed to separate domestic and foreign markets. The idea was to allow farm products to be sold at world prices abroad while fetching a higher price at home. However, it must be recognized that an immediate removal of price support programs, export subsidies, and import restrictions would result in significant distress for American farmers, according to the others. This raises the questions: would the national gains from such policies come at a very high cost to agriculture? The author of this paper, however, believes that the answer is negative. He argues there are two key reasons why the removal of this program may not result in economic harm. First, there is little to no evidence the price supports, trade restrictions, and export subsidies have meaningfully increased real income for farm workers or farm families from these programs. And second, while farmers may not have gained much from these programs, abandoning them immediately would cause substantial losses. However, these losses could be minimized through appropriate policies during the transition period. One of the most controversial points the author addressed to this: how is it possible that price supports and billions of dollars in direct and indirect farm subsidies have not led to higher average income for farmers? The explanation lies in two factors. One of them is land prices, and the second one, the ability of farmers to respond to changing market conditions. When land prices increase significantly, new entrants into farming may not benefit from higher prices supported by the government. In contrast, when farmers can adapt to changing conditions without having government protection, they may still profit. Take, for example, New Zealand. By removing more subsidies, New Zealand farmers have become some of the most profitable in the world. And as you see in the video, in the beginning of my video, there is an aging population in the United States as well as the other countries, and the aging population will have to away from agricultural sectors. So if the land prices keep relevantly high and the new entrants cannot enter into the market or make a competitive position in the market. So what does this mean for US agriculture? The truth is, without significant changes in US price support policy, American farmers cannot compete effectively in the global markets according to the others. Price supports should be gradually lowered to align with world prices, and while modest export subsidies might contain, in specific cases such as wheat, and many government programs that increase farm output should be tapered off and eventually stopped. Nowadays, all we see US farmers are struggling with slumping prices that have made some crops more expensive to plant than sell. Producers so are facing higher costs and market uncertainty in agricultural sector. The emergency commodity assistance program implemented by US will pay farmers a flat rate by acreage for eligible commodities like wheat, corn, barley, and some oilseeds. This might be destructive effects for the world agricultural commodity market as well as for US farmers, because the US farmers depend on export, and they need to export their products. With the higher tariffs, it might not be easy to trade in these circumstances.